Adin deva tali. Adin deva tali. Adin deva tali. Adin deva tali.
Hey, what's up, man? How's the Russian military training going?
Odlechny. That means great in Russian.
Oh, wow. You're learning Russian too?
Just a few words so far.
Cool.
Da. I love Mother Russia. I only buy Russian-made guns, like the Mosin Nagant, the Makarov, because they're made out of wood, steel, and blood.
But isn't that a Chinese SKS with a Chinese-made optic and a US-made extended magazine?
Adin dva tli. Adin dva tli.
That was dark. I know. Those filthy Russians. I'm just kidding. I love Russians. This is not Russian. This is Chinese. Type 56 to be exact. Being that it's Chinese does not detract in any way from its quality. The Chinese made a great SKS. I got this SKS from Classic Firearms a little more than a year ago, and it looks like it's definitely seen some very heavy use. So we'll do a close-up real quick. You can see the stock has a lot of scratches and a lot of wear. According to Classic Firearms, this came from the Vietnam era, and I wasn't very good at trying to figure out what year it was produced. I'm thinking around 1974, 1975, so like at the tail end of the Vietnam era. But it does have all matching serial numbers. It's that 00423. There's one on the bolt. There's one on the trigger guard. There's one on the stock. And the one on the receiver has a 114 right in front of the 00423. So it's all matching. I'm just not too sure what the 114 means. Jeez. And one way you can tell it's had a lot of use is the takedown lever right here. You can see all the scratches. Every single time you take it down, it pretty much scratches the receiver a little bit because it's held in there pretty tight. So maybe that's a good sign. Maybe it means that it was well maintained before it ended up in my hands. So the following footage was shot about 10 months ago, back when I was a lot more awkward in front of the camera than I am now. Back in April of 2020, right when the pandemic was starting to get really crazy, and I just wanted to get away from all the craziness. That's actually why I started going out to the farm to make these crappy videos, because I wanted to have something to keep my mind off the impending toilet paper apocalypse that we were all going through at the time. I just never posted this video because my first videos sucked. They weren't getting any traction. But I went back and watched this one, and I thought with a few edits, it wasn't terrible. The ammo prices and availability that I talk about aren't accurate according to today, especially for the rifle, which is about doubled on Gunbroker since I first got it. But I thought that the topic was still relevant because 7.62 by 39 throughout the pandemic has consistently been cheaper and more available than just about any other significant cartridge out there. So here you go.
Right now when I'm making this video, it's April 5th, 2020, and everybody's buying up AR-15s, AR-9s, a bunch of different rifles. 308 is nowhere to be found. However, I did just come across 7.62 by 39 for 25 cents a round. Before all the panic buying, you could find 7.62 by 39 for, I don't know, around 19, 20 cents a round. So 25 cents a round is not that bad. And right now, over on Classic Firearms, they are selling these for $300. And $300 for an SKS is pretty good. Sure, 20 years ago you could find these for like 90 bucks, but it's not 20 years ago. The military surplus market keeps drying up from decade to decade, and things that used to be very cheap are now getting more expensive. So on this SKS, I modded it a little bit. It's got a, what looks like a scope, but it's actually a red dot sight. And it has these detachable magazines. This one's made by Tapco. Tapco makes pretty good ones. Actually, of the making of this video, Tapco is no longer. So I don't know what they're going to do about these and about other Tapco products. But they make great SKS accessories. The other thing that I have that is not Tapco, it's actually NC Star, which is a pretty cheap company as well. But this upper handguard replacement right here has a Picatinny rail, and it secures pretty well with 2 screws as well as some other screws, and hasn't budged on me yet, and it holds 0. So I'm pretty happy with it. So one of the cool things about these SKSs is the swing out bayonet. It's a spike bayonet. This one is a Tricom SKS, but if you get a Yugoslavian SKS or a Russian SKS, there's a good chance it has a blade bayonet. Recoil is not too bad with the 7.62x39. You can get recoil pads, however, this one I don't really think needs it. A lot of the recoil is absorbed in this gun because it's very heavy. And one of the cool things about these is a little trap door where you can keep a cleaning kit. Putting it back in is a little more difficult, but once you get it, it stays in there nice and snug. So I'm just going to take a few shots here. I've got a steel target set up at 100 yards. So these are pretty easy to shoot. The trigger isn't that great, but you know, it's a military surplus gun, so you can't expect much. This one, according to Classic Firearms, comes from the Vietnam era, and I would say this has probably seen some heavy use in the jungles of Vietnam. Because this thing, I'll do a close-up, has got quite a lot of character on the stock. And a lot of people will be thrown off by that, but I actually think that's really cool looking, and I'm not going to change it. A lot of people, when they get these, they swap out stocks for lighter stocks. This is actually quite a heavy gun. As you see it right now, it's about 9 pounds. So it's kind of hard to run around the woods with something like this. And even though it's an old gun though, you can definitely still use this for practical reasons, hunting or even home defense. The 7.62x39 round is a really good home defense round. Detachable magazine, just like an AR-15. There's a rail up here, just like an AR-15. You can mount optics. This optic actually has quick detach rings, so if I wanted to, I could take it off pretty easily and just use the iron sights. I'm going to take a few shots standing up because I'll show you that even though it's a heavy gun, you can still control it pretty well. And just like an AR-15, the bolt locks back on the last round. So this magazine, you detach it by pulling back on this little lever here, and it just comes right out. You can do with these Archangel magazines is they have these little levers right here. So when the magazine is in the gun, you don't need to pull back on this. It's actually very similar to an AK-47. You press the lever and it comes right out. Very simple to take in and out. Now, for those of you that don't know, the bolt has to be locked back in order to put a magazine in and out. But while we got this one loaded up, let's take some more shots. safety is right down here. It's kind of an interesting design. When the safety is up, you can disengage the safety and pull the trigger all with one motion, just like this. Then put it back into safety. Just like that. So obviously this predates the AK-47 by a couple years. It uses the same round as the AK-47, but AK-47s are $600–700, just like an AR-15. So this at $300 again is one heck of a bargain. You can get these right here are the 20 round mags, but you can get 30, 35 round, and even a 75 round drum. Take a few more shots standing up. When you're done, just like that. Now you can get these 20. Stay. You can get these 20 round mags, and you can also get 30 and 35 rounds. Archangel with these levers actually make a 35 round mag. 20 rounds I think is ideal. However, if you really want to go crazy, you can get a 75 round drum. And when you lock this thing in, it's quite a lot of weight. This went from a 9-pound heavy gun to a 13.5 really heavy gun. However, you take some shots standing up, and I think you'll see you can still control it, still get good shots on target. However, one thing with this drum, I've noticed that it does have a tendency to jam. And I think it's the angle of the bullet, because it's hitting the face of the barrel instead of going up. There we go. Yeah, jam again. Actually, if you hold the magazine like this, I bet it takes care of that problem. Jam. Even though it's jamming, I'm pretty sure that it's just hit or miss with these drum mags. You could probably get one that will work flawlessly. I think these drum mags are made by South Korea. After you get it going, the jams seem to go away, so maybe that's just the problem. Now, as far as optics go, I've got this red dot on here, like I said. However, I was thinking you could put on a long eye relief scope and maybe get a little more range out of your SKS. And if you have it mounted far enough up, as you can see, it doesn't get in the way of the shells ejecting. And one thing I noticed about the shells ejecting on this gun is that they shoot straight up and they go very, very high and very far. So I know there's a lot of videos already on the internet with SKSs, and the last thing we really need is another SKS video. But I thought that beginning of April 2020, panic buying going on, Everybody buying up all the AR-15s. Everybody's buying up all the 223 and 5.56 ammo. Everybody's buying up all the 308, all the AR-10s. You're kind of left with something like this. And it's not that bad. It's good for home defense, good for recreation. It's cheap to shoot. We're not going to be in this Armageddon-like panic buying mode forever, just like it was back in the 22 shortage of like 2012. That eventually came around, and eventually prices on everything are going to go down. However, something like this, I'm pretty sure it's either going to stay the same or it's going to keep going up. Actually, for most surplus rifles, they just keep going up. I bought a Mosin Nagant back in, I don't remember, but probably 15 years ago for $90, and it's worth $350 right now, something like that. I only have a couple rounds in here. I'm gonna go and load it up some more, and we'll take some more shots. One thing I've noticed while loading these, you want to kind of keep them pointed tip up. So if you have it pointed tip down, you kind of see as soon as you press, one of them likes to, the second one, or I guess the third one in there likes to kind of push out. So make sure you load this tip up. All right, let's take some more shots. Another thing about the Archangel quick release magazines is I've had really good reliability with these. Not many jams at all. I don't know if you saw that. Right after I got done talking about reliability, the last round unfired actually just completely popped out. Let me go ahead and take the magazine out. I'm going to put this round in here and let's fire it. One thing you do want to be careful about is you shoot a lot of rounds, and as you can see, I've probably shot, I don't know, close to 50 to 100 rounds. This barrel gets very hot. The gas tube gets very hot. The handguard stays warm, but not too hot. However, this metal upper handguard, it actually isn't too hot. It's not that bad. But you do want to keep your fingers away from the gas tube and the barrel, which those are pretty hot right now. So like I said, there's countless amount of SKS videos on YouTube right now. I just wanted to make one because right now, with the panic buying going on, everybody buying AR-15s, they're kind of forgetting about these good old military surplus guns. And I just think it's a really good value at $300. Ammo, 25 cents a round. That includes shipping. At least last time I checked. But I guess prices are probably going to keep going up. It's going to be a little while before we get back to the 19-20 cents a round that we used to find pretty commonly. But in the meantime, I recommend that anybody who can go out and get an SKS. There's a lot of history here. There's a lot of macho-ness here. It's a heavy gun. It shoots a pretty hard thumping round, and you can upgrade it, make it modern. You can put a optic on it. You can put a detachable magazine on it. You can put these are kind of like M-lock slots right here, so you can put a flashlight on there if you like. One thing I guess before this video is over is want to empty out the rest of that drum mag. So let's do that. case if y'all haven't seen these, you just pop those tabs right there, and all of your rounds fit in here. As you can see, I only have about 10-ish, maybe 12 rounds left, so let's finish it off. One more jam. One more jam for good measure. And that's it. Now obviously the drum mag is a little impractical. You don't have to use a drum mag. I actually highly recommend just a 20 round mag, especially with the profile of the gun and the swinging out bayonet. The 20 round mag is kind of perfect. The 35 round mags hang out a little bit too much, and I think the bayonet might clip it, but I'm not exactly sure. But 20 rounds of 7.62 by 39, you can't go wrong with that. I hope there's a new generation of YouTube watchers out there that have come across this video and maybe have learned one or two things. But essentially, those are all the reasons why I own an SKS.